Hey, welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. This is your weekly rundown. First up, Jussie Smollett. If you remember the Jussie Smollett case, this is the guy that apparently ended up paying two people to make as if they beat him up or whatever and tied a noose around his neck and everything. Two people that were apparently that he had previously bought drugs from. Paid them like $3,000 a piece to do this and everything. Later on, they were found on security cameras and they found them. They investigated it and found out that he had actually falsified the entire thing, that the attacks never happened, and that the charges should probably be brought. But the prosecutors dropped all charges, left him with just a little fine that even Chicago's mayor said did not even cover part, really, of what the police department had put into investigating this particular incident. Unfortunately, though, he never faced any charges because they dropped all of them. So, you thought it was over. You thought, okay, he was kicked off of the Empire TV show. He charges were dropped. You figure everything's over. But apparently, a judge has ordered a special investigator to investigate the Smollett case, and this investigator will have the ability to bring new charges against Jussie Smollett and possibly charges against people in the prosecutor's office for different criminal things that they may have done if they broke any laws during the investigation. I'll let you know what's going on if I see any more stories on this down the road, and hopefully something comes of it. I don't like the fact that this guy got away with falsifying a police report. Not only did he falsify a police report, he also hurt the people that actually will get attacked by people. Every time you do that, every time you make a false statement to police about an attack or something like that, you are hurting people who are actually being harmed by these kind of people. Next, ICE. ICE is set to start deporting people starting on Sunday. This comes a week after Trump announced via Twitter that we were going to start deporting millions of people. So I'm guessing somewhere, at least 2 million people he's looking at, if he's saying millions. But he's looking to deport a lot of people. And ICE is going to start this on Sunday. Now, the fact is, ICE isn't going to start deporting 2 million people or millions of people on Sunday. They are targeting 2,000 people right now who have either violated, their hearings by not showing up, or have been given final orders to be deported or to vacate, to no longer be here because they're not allowed to be here. They don't have a legal reason to be here. These are people that have already had their final decisions made, and they've been requested to report to an ICE office to be deported. But as we all know, people aren't going to self-deport. That's not going to happen. These people had up until March to show up. So it's not like they're going out of their way to go tear people, families apart that have no clue what's coming. All these people have been given orders that they are going to be deported. Now, a lot of the mayors of the cities are up in arms over some of this because there are 10 cities that they're focusing on this weekend, and that'll be Atlanta, Baltimore, Chicago, Denver, Houston, Los Angeles, Miami, New Orleans, New York, and San Francisco. Now, some of the mayors have said that they don't like this at all. They don't want it to happen. Then they're saying the mayor of Chicago says, Lori Lightfoot, said she will not be having the Chicago PD cooperate with the ICE raids, that ICE will have to do the raids on their own. And the mayor from Miami, Francis Suarez, says, as mayor, I trust only those individuals who represent a clear and present danger to our communities will be affected by this DHS policy. But that's what's happening here. This isn't like they're going to go door to door trying to rip families apart that have no clue this is coming. Although they are ICE says they are trying their best to come up with ways to prevent families from being completely torn apart, especially those split legal status families where, say, a child is legal and the parent is not. They're trying to find a way to make that work, and they're talking about fitting ankle bracelets so they can keep track of these people that don't have legal status, but are either working on it or have a child here that is legal, that doesn't need to be left alone. So at least ICE is trying to figure that out. I'll let you know what's going on down the road if I see any more information, but we will have another video for you on immigration and ICE later on this week, discussing the conditions of the camps down on the border, camps that are that Ocasio-Cortez is calling a concentration camp, that George Takei even agrees are concentration camps. And I think George Takei would know what a concentration camp is, being that he himself was in one. This takes me to another story, Iran. Now, tensions with Iran have been running high as of late. Last week, there were reports that they may have shot down a drone. They denied that drone was shot down by them. And then, as of Thursday, Iran announced that they were admitting that they had shot down a drone that they thought, apparently, they claimed anyway, was in Iranian airspace or over Iranian waters. The U.S. government still stands by their argument that they were in international waters, and therefore there was no reason for Iran to be shooting down the drone. But that's been what's happened this last week. And that led to Donald Trump ordering a strike on radar sites and some other military sites in Iran that was at the last minute called off by Donald Trump. Apparently he realized that he didn't want to deal with, have the blood on his hands of 150 to 200 lives that would have been lost over the attack on an unmanned drone. He said he didn't think it was a proportionate response, which, if that's really him talking, if that wasn't somebody else's writing, I have to agree with him that, killing 150 people over an unmanned drone, all over what could have been an accident, which he called it. He believed that what Iran had done was an accident, and I don't think he's far off there. I bet they were tracking it. From what I've read, they were possibly tracking it, and I'm betting that somebody had a hair trigger and they kind of pulled the trigger on it, thinking it was in their airspace or over their waters, or they were tracking it, waiting for it to get into their waters, and they went ahead and pulled the trigger or whatever. I'm not 100% sure, but those are the reports that are coming out this week. One last story. This is a Texas story here. A lot of Texans are up in arms this week after last week's sale of the majority stake of Whataburger to a Chicago-based investment firm. Now, many Texans are really up in arms with this because, back in 2001, after decades of serving this state and being one of the staples of the state of Texas, Whataburger was passed by law to be a Texas treasure. And part of that was because it was Texas owned and operated. It was a family operated business, and now it is no longer a family operated business. The family will now have minority stake in it, and the overall control of the company will go to a Chicago-based company. Many people are mad. Some calling it what a disaster. And I gotta say, I'm not very pleased with the ideas myself. I don't like the idea of this Texas treasure being ripped apart, basically, and its quality going downhill. Because every time it seems like a restaurant gets picked up by one of these big investment banks, the company ends up either folding because they end up infusing it with a lot of debt, or the quality of the food goes down. And I'm not too sure about that. But a lot of Texans are very, up in arms, seeing all sorts of memes and stuff coming out about "come and take it," where they've used used to have that little cannon with a little star over it, and it would say "come and take it" at the bottom. You're seeing that. You're seeing other ones where they're using like the Gadsden flag as with "Don't tread on me," which I made a meme like that myself the other day. But for Texans, this is a big deal, and many people outside the state will not understand why people in Texas would be so up in arms and so upset by this idea. But the company says that they're not looking to change anything, that they're not looking to change the recipes, they're not looking to change anything. But they are looking to start expansion out to other states and try to let the rest of the country see why Texas loves Whataburger so much. What's hilarious about the whole thing are some of the comments and some of the memes that are going around. But J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans tweeted out that the fans of Whataburger here in the state of Texas that are affected by this, that don't think it's right that some, northern company now owns majority stake of one of our beloved restaurants here in the state of Texas, said that we should get together as fans of the restaurant and buy it back somehow or another from the investment bank. I can't say that's a bad idea, but I don't know how you would feasibly pull that off. I don't know if there's a GoFundMe for that or what. I don't see how you would get a GoFundMe to raise enough money to buy that back, because I'm sure it's billions of dollars. But off of that, Governor Greg Abbott tweeted out a meme that I thought was hilarious. It was a picture of our former president, George W. Bush, and it was a picture of him in his pickup truck, and it said, hop in, JJ, we're saving Whataburger, or something like that. And I thought it was one of the most hilarious memes I saw all week. But anyhow, this has been your weekly rundown. Ran a little longer than I had hoped. I was trying to keep them around 5 to 10 minutes. We're a little over that now. I hope you're enjoying this new segment here on the Big Ranch Show. Expect it every Saturday. And I will see you down the road.